I was sure my husband was cheating until he rushed home, explained everything, and revealed it was a surprise anniversary trip planned with my sister. I completely spiraled over what could have ended our marriage. I don't know where exactly to start. He is working late tonight, or that is what he says, so I thought I'd take some time to write in and ask for advice. Sorry for this being disjointed. I've been pretty emotional and crying a lot this evening. We have been together since college, married for the last 8 years, right after college grad for me. We were perfect for each other. Many friendships have come and gone, but we've always found contentment in each other. Both adventurous and did some traveling together when we were first married. We argued, but not a lot. We had kids. First, planned child was 6 years ago. Second, surprise child, and last is now 3. Since having kids, it's been tough to get time together. Both of our parents live a few hours' drive away. There aren't many babysitters we've found that can handle our rambunctious boys. Husband works a demanding, stressful job and has had to cancel vacation plans more than once over the last 6 years because of a terrible boss. We were seeing each other for what felt like minutes every day. And our children, while wonderful, demanded a lot of our time and energy. His boss changed about 6 months ago. Immediately, his hours became more reasonable and his stress levels went down. Still long hours and travel some days, but better. We had evenings together again, but something was different. It felt like we were strangers, just roommates who had kids together. We were just so exhausted from the last few years that we must have spent a couple months using any spare time we had once the kids were in bed crashing, watching Netflix, etc. Just boring stuff, and all along I felt very disconnected from the man who was supposed to be my partner. So we talked about it. I told him I missed him. We had a few conversations about feeling disconnected. We hired a sitter, went on some dates, and things started to feel better. He's been more loving and attentive. He bought me flowers again. I was feeling so hopeful, like I was getting my partner back. About a month ago, I noticed something I think I wasn't supposed to. He has been talking about this work trip coming up for a week in August. It's been a bit of a sore spot for me, since in my mind summer is for family vacations, not work trips. But I've been being understanding. However, when he was in the shower, his phone beeped, and I saw an email from someone named Allison, entitled, "Our Trip." I felt a little weird looking at it, but when I asked him about it, he checked his phone and told me it was a spam email. I didn't think of it after that, but since then I haven't seen his phone left out again. I found something else about a week ago. It was a receipt for a jewelry store, and it was a sizable sum. Money has never really been terribly tight for us, but even I was surprised by how much it was for. I felt a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach and, I admit, looked for his personal laptop to see if I could snoop through his emails. But he'd taken his personal laptop to work, something he'd never done. I was getting nervous, but somehow didn't want to bring it up with him. Maybe I was trying not to believe it. But this morning I found his credit card bill in his sock drawer. Why was he hiding it, you ask? There were transactions going back over the last month, all for stores that men typically don't shop at. I added them up, and he has spent a few $100s on what looks like women's clothing and lingerie. I haven't seen anything from these stores in our house, so who are they for? He is working better hours, but still away some evenings. He could be spending at least an evening a week with someone else. I don't know what to think, but I fear the worst. Is there someone else? Was I too unavailable when our kids were younger? Is he going on a trip with them? Is it this Allison person? What am I going to do if he leaves me? He's buying her presents, for God's sake. Doesn't that usually mean a man is moving on or falling in love somewhere else? I don't know what to do. I don't know any of his passwords, so I can't snoop. I could call his office to make sure he is actually there when he says he is, but if I talk to anyone, I think I'm just going to start bawling again. He should be home in a few hours. What am I going to do? I don't want to raise my kids alone. I don't want to be alone. TLDR. We've grown distant since having kids. Recently, I found receipts and saw an email that make me believe he is having an affair. I don't know what to do. Please help. Edit. The comments are making me very scared. I am thankful for everyone who is talking to me though, even when it's hard to hear. I've calmed down a bit, read, no longer sobbing, and I'm gonna call my older sister to talk to a real person about this. She lives a couple hours away, but we have always been close, and she knows my husband well. I will try and update again later. Thank you again to everyone. Edit 2. I just had a very strange conversation with my sister. I told her everything, was getting really worked up and emotional and crying again. She interrupted me and told me, "Sis, it's going to be fine. You need to calm down and talk to him when he gets home. I promise everything is okay. Hang up the phone, take a bath or something, calm down and wait for husband to get home." Then she said she loved me and she hung up. What the hell is going on with my life today? I feel like she just blew me off. She didn't seem to react to what I was saying, but most commenters here seem pretty sure that something bad is going on. I feel like I'm going crazy. Edit 3. Right after I posted my edit about my sister and the phone call, my husband texted. He said my sister had called him and he was on his way home. Update, added in the original post. I immediately freaked out because I did not feel ready to talk to him. I was super pissed at my sister for calling him, and to be honest, I felt like the entire world was falling down around my ears. I broke down. I didn't even know where I was, but when I heard the front door open, I realized I was on my knees in the kitchen sobbing. My husband skidded around the corner, and when I saw him, I just started crying harder. He dropped to the ground in front of me and started apologizing, and I just lost it. I started shaking my head and saying no, 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 no over and over again. I couldn't even hear what he was saying. He tried to hug me, and I held my arms out all stiff, like a kid does when they don't want a hug, just holding him back. It took me a few minutes to register what he was saying, but he was repeating over and over, "I'm sorry for scaring you. Please listen to me. You need to hear what's going on. I'm not cheating, please listen to me." Just over and over. I finally stopped and just said, "What?" I just was so drained and confused. It was good news. I saw some of the comments in the original post saying maybe it was a surprise, and you folks get the grand prize. The story all came out. After our big talks about reconnecting, he called my sister for advice. My sister's idea was to have him spirit me away for a surprise weekend getaway, while she and my brother-in-law took the kids. She connected him to her friend, a travel agent, remember Allison, to get the ball rolling. The plan evolved into my sister and parents trading off with the kids for the week. The jewelry receipt is for a necklace, for me, to wear out to dinner on our trip. The credit card charges are for some fancy clothes and lingerie he got me for the trip. He took some of my clothes with him to get the sizes right and got a lot of help from the salespeople. He says they are my style, but they could be bags for all I care at this point. So why the surprise? My sister told him that it would be better if it was a surprise, because it would be romantic that way. She didn't count on me finding out early and assuming the worst. I have had mild anxiety issues all my life that have been worse since having kids, but this was the worst it's ever been. I've never felt so totally out of control in my life. He didn't tell me all of this right away. Some of it came out in that first moment in the kitchen, but when I realized it was not the end of my marriage, I pretty much became incoherent with relief. This is embarrassing, but I sobbed so hard that I vomited a little. At least it was on the linoleum. The rest he told me after I calmed down. We talked until late last night. He showed me all the emails, showed me our destination, we got excited together. I am not mad at him at all, which he is relieved by. Apparently my sister called him with a red alert, "Get home now before your wife calls a lawyer" message. She knows I have some anxiety issues, so I may have to get after her about the decision to keep this all a big secret from me. Right now I'm too relieved to be upset. I am a little concerned by how unhinged I became. I think I need to work on that. It's not like me. What am I going to do if a real crisis comes along? Some people were saying that I am codependent. Maybe they are right, but that's for later. For now, I'm enjoying my day with the kids and looking forward to my trip. Thank you to all the advice and good wishes from you all. I'm sorry for worrying anyone. You are wonderful people to spend your time ready to help a stranger through the screen. I hope your lives can all take an unexpected yet wonderful turn. We went on the trip 2 weeks later. It wasn't perfect, not in the glossy, Instagram-worthy sense, but it was real. Messy and overdue and healing in ways I didn't even realize I needed. My sister and parents traded off watching the kids, and for the first time in nearly 6 years, I slept in without waking to a baby monitor or the sound of tiny feet running down the hall. My husband and I walked the cobblestone streets of an old town we used to talk about visiting in college. We held hands without needing to. We kissed without someone pulling at our sleeves. We talked, a lot, about the years that had gone quiet between us. The resentment neither of us said out loud. The way we became teammates instead of partners. Efficient, functional, tired. He apologized for letting me spiral alone, for being evasive when all I needed was clarity. I apologized for jumping to conclusions, for letting fear drown out trust. We admitted it was never really about a necklace or a lingerie receipt. It was about how fragile we had become, and how brittle things feel when you've let your love go hungry for too long. We didn't solve everything. There's no magical trip that undoes 6 years of sleep deprivation, missed anniversaries, or the slow erosion of intimacy. But we made space for each other again. Space to grieve who we were, and space to decide who we want to be now that the dust has settled. Since coming home, things aren't dramatic or flashy. but they're different. We look up more often. We ask better questions. We linger in each other's presence instead of passing like ghosts. He still works late sometimes. I still get overwhelmed. The kids still need everything all at once. But now we meet each other where we are, instead of assuming we'll just figure it out eventually. I also started therapy. Not because anything is wrong, but because I want to understand myself better. That spiral I went through, that certainty that I was being abandoned, it came from somewhere deeper than just a misread email. I'm learning that I can love someone and still ask for help, that I can break down and still come back stronger, that being afraid doesn't make me fragile, it makes me human. My husband laughs more now. I do too. We're not perfect, we probably never were, but we're honest, we're present, and for now, that feels like enough. To anyone out there who's spiraling in the quiet, who's staring at a blinking cursor, trying to name the ache in your chest, just know this. The truth might hurt, but silence always hurts more. Ask the hard questions. Say the scary thing. Reach for your person, even when you're afraid they're not reaching back. You might be surprised by who's still there when the fog lifts. I know I was. Story 2. My boyfriend says he isn't attracted to me because I'm not intelligent enough. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 3 years, living together for 1 year. For some context, my birthday is a couple of weeks. Last night, I made a joke to my boyfriend. So what are you getting me for my birthday? He gave me a blank look and said, "What? I thought we agreed not to do gifts." I was surprised, because that was what we agreed on last year for any occasion, as we were wanting to save money. However, I thought this year would be a bit different. For me, it's not about a gift or something that is of high value. It's about the effort to celebrate a day about me. I told him that I was a little stunned and upset because for the past few months, I feel like he hasn't put in any effort into the relationship in terms of romance. He doesn't plan dates, compliment me, gets me gifts, etc. Not like when he used to back in our early days. I told him this, and he pretty much told me that the reason for the lack of romance was because he has found it hard to find me attractive because of how different we are in terms of how our brain works, and I don't show how intelligent I am. He says he knows I'm smart and intelligent, but he just doesn't see it enough, and therefore finds it hard to find me attractive, because intelligence is a huge factor of attraction for him. I was shocked. First of all, I felt hurt that I confided in him and told him my feelings, and he put it back on me. I felt blamed and angry. My first initial thoughts after he told me this was, I can't change the way my brain works. Shouldn't he love me for the way I am? I don't want to change how I do things, and so on. I asked him why he was with me in the first place if he's felt this way, and he said there are other things, more than attraction, that keeps a relationship. After some thought, I guess I kind of understand where he's coming from, but I can't help but feel offended. Any thoughts would be much appreciated. Am I being too defensive? Update. Thank you all for the comments on my original post. To clarify a few things from there, the agreement was to not buy each other gifts or spend too much money on each other. In the past, we would buy each other gifts over $200 and plan a day of activities, and the total cost of this would be around $400 to $500. The reason for this agreement was because we wanted to save money for our future goal, which is to buy a house and live a homestead, lifestyle block lifestyle. I understand we had an agreement not to do gifts due to saving money. But when I say I expected something for my birthday, I don't expect an expensive gift or anything. I expected the effort of planning a day, which doesn't have to involve money at all. I wanted and expected effort for my birthday because I haven't felt like he has put in any effort into our relationship in terms of romance, such as planning dates, gifts, compliments, etc. And to answer a few questions, yes, I do still put in effort into planning dates, compliments, flirting, and I even recently bought him a $100 jacket last week that ironically is going to be delivered today and I feel stupid for buying. Anyways, update. Last night, my boyfriend and I had a 3-hour-long chat, and I don't think anything has changed much. I started the conversation by explaining that I was really upset because I had brought up the fact that I felt like he hasn't been putting much effort into the relationship with keeping the romance alive, dates, gifts, compliments, etc. And his response was, the reason why he hasn't feel like putting in effort like that was because he has been losing attraction towards me due to my intelligence. I asked him how long he has felt this way, and he said, "You never really know when things start to happen. It just starts to form over time, but I would say a few months." I asked him why he didn't bring this up before, in a situation where we were both peaceful and not fighting. He said that we weren't fighting last night. I said, maybe we weren't fighting, but I was trying to tell you about how I was feeling. And he said, when you brought that up, that's when it all clicked for me, and I told you how I was feeling then. I then went on about how I just felt attacked because I was upset about something, and instead of trying to support me or acknowledge my feelings, he goes on about his feelings. This kind of went on for a while. I didn't feel like I was being heard, and I guess he felt the same way. I decided to ask him to expand more on his feelings, because that's just what I do. I tend to focus on his feelings more and ask about it. Did I get the same? No, not in the 3 hours of us talking. Anyways, he basically gave a few examples of things he's been frustrated about with me, which has caused him to lose the attraction. By the way, he stated that not all the attraction was gone, but a part of it was. Here's what he said. There are a few examples, and I'm not trying to hurt or upset you, so take it how you will. But you don't show off how intelligent you are. For specifics, he said that I don't read books anymore. I just watch shows all day. I don't talk about my course or my job. I work full-time and also study postgraduate. I've stopped playing sport. I don't put an effort into myself. My thoughts. LOL, I don't really know, to be honest. I told him I'm just doing my own thing and working on myself at my own pace, and I don't want to feel like I have to prove myself to him. He said that that wasn't what he meant, but it's just something he has noticed and said he has found it hard to find me attractive. You don't have the right priorities. For some context, we decided to move to a new town to save up for a house. We're renting, and to live a homestead lifestyle, block lifestyle. This town requires both of us to have cars, and currently we only have his car. I have a job in this new town and he is still looking for a job. So he's currently unemployed, but we still have everything, so I have been using his car to get to work. I am looking to buy a cheapish used car around $5,000, because eventually, he will need his car to get to work. He thinks that I don't need a car and does not understand why I'm buying one, and says that my priority should be saving up for the house deposit that we plan to buy in 1 to 2 years, and to also save up for our overseas trip in November. My thoughts. I don't think it matters the journey of achieving our goals of buying a house or the trip, so I'm unsure why he feels the need to judge and monitor what I want to spend my money on. I could call him out for not saving right now because he's unemployed. He is searching for a job, but is of course only going for jobs he actually likes. If he really wanted to save more money right now, he could find a simple job. He also spends his days playing computer games, and he is buying Lego. I don't call him out for that. I trust him enough that when the time comes, he will have enough money saved. But any thoughts on this would be much appreciated. Really specific thing here. You said something incorrectly for the longest time. For a while out loud I would say would've instead of would have. Just for your information, I don't actually think it is would've. I just have pronounced would've, stretched out that it comes out as would've. He would correct me every time, and I would just laugh it off. I know in my head it's not actually would've, I just pronounce would've naturally. It feels like he has just collected things that he didn't like over time, and has grown to start resenting me for it. I told him that I feel like he should love me for me, because the things he has pointed out are a part of me. He went on to say that the things he pointed out don't define me as a person, and my whole personality doesn't revolve around those things. I went on to say how I love him for who he was, even though there were also things that he does that frustrate me. But in my eyes, I see him and love him for all the good things, the brightness that shines. I also said that I felt like the things he was saying to me about me were mean and cruel. He said that he feels that partners should communicate what makes them unhappy, no matter what it is, and sees it as a growth opportunity. He thinks that the things he said to me weren't mean or cruel. I found the things he was saying about me were hurtful because, to put it lightly, it was about my dumb mistakes and things I don't do on purpose to hurt him or anything. It felt like he was picking me apart. I agree that couples should tell each other what makes them unhappy, but the things he was saying were about my personality, the way I think, feel, say, or do. To sum it all up, he wants to work on this and find a solution, but he doesn't see it as either of us changing. I understand it as him trying to change my personality or me as a person, and he said that, because you understand it that way, it means you're not understanding me at all. And also throughout the whole 3 hours, he never asked about my feelings or asked more about it, even after I told him I was hurt. There are probably a whole lot of things I'm missing out on here, but these were the main things I got out of the conversation. Genuinely, I was so close to secretly recording the conversation, just so I could really show you all the things he was saying. I need some help here. Is he right to say those things to me? Is it just a personality difference? Because I would never say things to him because I think they're mean. If I were to bring up something specific like that, I would do so in a nicer manner. I don't know. My brain can't comprehend because I don't remember little things he does that irks me, or it's just not enough for me to lose attraction or put me off him. But it could also mean that I'm just a person that puts him on a pedestal and puts his feelings first over mine all the time, which I have been guilty of and will take responsibility for. I would like to clarify that I am on board with wanting to leave the relationship. Am I seeking validation and wanting people to agree with me from this post? Probably. It's just nice to see what people have to say. And even better when people tell me that I'm not crazy for feeling this way and being treated like this. Also, any exit strategy advice would be very useful, taking into account that we live together in a brand new town where we have no friends and I am the only one that's employed.